Does someone come back and say, I want an ice shanty?
And the White House warns Americans to leave Ukraine as tensions escalate.
We don't know exactly what is going to happen.
Plus, your Super Bowl party this weekend might cost more. Newswatch starts right now.
Good evening. I'm Olivia Roman.
And I'm Fallon Howard. Welcome to Newswatch, your source for news impacting southeastern Ohio. Multiple medical marijuana dispensaries are looking to set up shop in the area. There have been 284 applications for the 17 allotted licenses allotted for the Southeast Ohio region that includes Athens, Meigs, and Benton counties. The applicants were ranked through random drawing last month. The top-ranked applicant is for the site of the former Wild Horse Cafe on Main Street in Pomeroy, once a popular destination for the community and tourists, but has been closed since a fire 2 years ago. The property is listed for sale for $550,000. Athens is currently home to the only dispensary operating in District 6 that was a part of the 60 initial licenses in 2018. An Ohio man arrested for directing obscene language at law enforcement's civil rights lawsuit will continue. Michael Wood was arrested in 2016 for disorderly conduct after being asked to leave a county fairgrounds in Southwest Ohio. The misdemeanor charge was dismissed, but Wood sued a group of Clark County Sheriff deputies in 2018, claiming his rights were violated. The Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals three-judge panel ruled that Wood's speech is constitutionally protected and sent the lawsuit back to the U.S. District Court where the case was previously dismissed.
Intel is announcing the first job openings for its $20 billion project in Greater Columbus. The semiconductor company is looking for a range of engineers and managers. No salary range was posted with the opening. The Columbus Dispatch reports Intel's plan calls for 2 plants to be built on land for its new campus. New Albany plans to annex this land from Jersey Township in Licking County. The openings have been posted in several places beyond Intel's website, including LinkedIn and OhioMeansJobs.com. Intel will need the positions filled as it begins to hire companies to build the plant. The 2 plants will employ 3,000 workers with an average wage of $135,000.
So we saw really warm temperatures today with temperatures in the low 60s. And then we did also have gusty winds throughout the day. We did have a report out from the Athens airport of a wind gust up to 41 miles per hour. But right now we do see winds at around 15 to 20 miles per hour out from the southwest. We will have rain move through the region this evening. Right now Columbus is at 48 degrees as the cold front moves through. But before the cold front moves in, we're going to continue to see dry weather with really low dew points. And so we do have a special weather statement out for high fire danger through 8 p.m. And we're going to continue to see temperatures at around 62 degrees as we head towards the south. But those temperatures will continue to drop off through the evening. And looking at my full forecast later on for Super Bowl weekend, we're going to be seeing rain overnight, colder temperatures this weekend, and we're also going to see dry weather. I'm going to be handing it back to Olivia.
Thank you, Henry. An Ohio mayor is making headlines for unusual comments he made at a city council meeting. He was against allowing ice fishing in city parks because he thought it would lead to prostitution. Jim Nelson has more about the community's reaction to the mayor's remarks.
The words spoken behind these doors simply could not be made up.
If you open this up to ice fishing, while on the surface it sounds good, then what happens next year? Does someone come back and say, I want an ice shanty on Hudson Springs Park for X amount of time? And if you then allow ice fishing with shanties, then that leads to another problem: prostitution.
That's Hudson Mayor Craig Schubert in the middle of a city council discussion on allowing ice fishing at Hudson Springs Park.
That's a new one for me.
Captain Tony Muschiani is an ice fishing charter guide on Lake Erie. He was a bit surprised to hear the mayor's comments.
It's pretty far-fetched, I can tell you that. Shanties are for ice fishing and not for what, they're not the most comfortable thing out there.
At the park, most people were familiar with the mayor's assertion. Others only heard about it when we showed them the video.
To go from ice fishing to prostitution, I think it's far-fetched.
Last year, Schubert demanded resignations from the Hudson School Board, claiming a writing assignment for a college credit class amounted to child pornography because students were asked to write about sex.
Either choose to resign from this Board of Education, or you will be charged.
The Summit County Prosecutor's Office condemned his remarks. I reached out to the mayor by email to offer him a chance to elaborate on his ice fishing claims, but I never heard back. So I went straight to City Hall. Unfortunately, the building was locked by the time we got there.
The Hudson mayor has not responded for WOUB's request for comment. West Virginia lawmakers have advanced a proposal that would allow unemployment benefits for those that are forced to leave their job because they are denied a COVID-19 vaccine exemption. Republican Mark Maynard is a sponsor of Senate Bill 576 and says the legislation was designed with healthcare workers in mind. A number of West Virginia hospitals have mandated employees be vaccinated against COVID-19, including two of West Virginia's largest, West Virginia University Health System and Charleston Area Medical Center. People who out their jobs usually aren't eligible for unemployment unless they have a good cause to leave work.
The Republican-led West Virginia Senate has voted to rescind the state's 1972 ratification of the Equal Rights Amendment, declaring the state ratification expired in 1972 and is no longer valid. The Senate adopted the measure today by voice. All 23 Senate Republicans were sponsors of the measure. It passed without debate or discussion and now goes to the House of Delegates. West Virginia ratified the amendment in April 1972, the same year Congress sent it to the states. The Equal Rights Amendment passed Congress with the aim to further pay equity, protect women against predators, and protect against pregnancy discrimination, among other rights. The amendment was not approved by the required 3/4 of the states before the deadline and was not ever ratified nationally. An art exhibit of portraits of Black Civil War soldiers is coming to West Virginia's capital. West Virginia Public Broadcasting reports that artist Shane Davidson has been touring the country with his exhibit 17 Men since 2012. The 17 portraits are based on tiny photos that were in an album once belonging to Davidson's friend's great-grandfather. The exhibit is set to come to Charleston's Craig Patton House this spring. And a company in Ohio is making footballs for the Super Bowl game. These stories and more when Newswatch returns.
Here in southern England, the remains of Ice Age mammoths have just been discovered. Why were the mammoths here? Could ancient humans have hunted them?
It's like a really big whodunit. It's exciting.
What can this remarkable site reveal about life and death deep in the Ice Age?
The end of the story isn't completely tragic.
Great Mammoth Mystery on Nova.
Next time on Antiques Roadshow, check out the treasures we discovered in New Hampshire's White Mountains.
I was intrigued because it references Jackie Robinson and Branch Rickey both.
I'm absolutely thrilled to see this.
Howard Chandler Christie was basically the Andy Warhol of his time.
It's Antiques Roadshow, next time from the Omni Mount Washington Resort in New Hampshire.
This is the largest movement of living things on Earth. And every predator in these waters knows it. It's a mass migration of sardines. Why they gather is a mystery. But the result is a feast that will sustain an entire coastline of creatures.
On Greta Thunberg, a year to change the world as the global pandemic emerges.
I have contracted the coronavirus.
Greta sees technology as only a partial solution to climate change.
We have lots of solutions. The problem is time.
And she shows how personal choices can make a big difference.
We cannot fight climate change without individual change, the way we behave, the way we consume.
Greta Thunberg, a year to change the world.
Meetings about the tension between Ukraine and Russia are getting more urgent. Two officials say President Biden convened a Situation Room meeting Thursday with several cabinet members and senior national security officials to discuss Russia's military buildup near the Ukraine border. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken today said a Russian invasion of Ukraine could begin at any time. Biden is set to discuss the situation today with U.S. allies. A White House official says leaders from Canada, the UK, France, Germany, Italy, Poland, Romania, NATO, the European Commission, and the European Council will be on call. With the possible invasion coming soon, today National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan called for all Americans to leave Ukraine as soon as possible.
Any American in Ukraine should leave as soon as possible, and in any event in the next 24 to 48 hours. We obviously cannot predict the future. We don't know exactly what is going to happen, but the risk is now high enough, and the threat is now immediate enough, that this is what prudence demands.
The alarming order for Americans to evacuate Ukraine comes as the White House claims we could see an invasion of Ukraine as soon as this week. Sullivan continued his warning by saying he sees a possibility of an invasion happening during the Beijing Olympics. The White House said there is a high possibility of invasion happening in the next 2 days. Russia says it has no plan on invading Ukraine, but wants the U.S. and other Western nations to keep Ukraine and other former Soviet bloc countries out of NATO. As trucker protests continue to block borders between Canada and the United States, some major business groups are urging the Canadian government to act. Some fear similar protests could start in the U.S., including around Sunday's Super Bowl. Daryl Forges has more on the strains the protestants are causing.
A state of emergency declared in Ottawa as Canadian leaders seek more authority to remove the Freedom Convoy protesters blocking 3 major crossings between Canada and the United States.
This is an illegal blockade, and while people have the right to protest, they don't have a right to illegally block the largest land border crossing in North America.
Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer says the blockades are causing economic strains and hindering the already struggling supply chain.
This is 5 days and it's already taking a toll of tens of millions of dollars.
Protesters want all Canadian coronavirus restrictions and mandates lifted at the national level.
You would risk your life rather than leave this protest at the moment?
100%. Absolutely 100%.
I'm fighting like our veterans did for the freedom of this country, which Trudeau's taking away from us.
Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is not budging.
Everything is on the table because this unlawful activity has to end.
Now, the Department of Homeland Security is warning similar protests could disrupt cities in the U.S., including around Sunday's Super Bowl.
You could see there'd be a disruption. People might miss the kickoff. They might miss Snoop Dogg at halftime, but I think the game could definitely go on.
I'm Daryl Forges reporting.
Experts say Super Bowl parties will cost more this year. That story's still ahead.
And we're going to be seeing chilly weather for this Super Bowl weekend. I'll have more on this in my full forecast coming up on Newswatch. But first, a look at stocks of local interest.
On Greta Thunberg, a year to change the world as the global pandemic emerges.
I have contracted the coronavirus.
Greta sees technology as only a partial solution to climate change.
We have lots of solutions. The problem is time.
And she shows how personal choices can make a big difference.
We cannot fight climate change without individual change, the way we behave, the way we consume.
Greta Thunberg, a year to change the world.
He became known as the Bishop of the Slums.
It is my duty to help in any way possible.
He changed lives in a way no one could imagine.
Now is the time for courageous action and strategies.
He's unquestionably a game changer.
I'm convinced that we can make a difference.
In the event of a lockdown, there are simple steps to take that will keep us all safe.
Some people will say, oh, it's just some kid playing. The problem is we can't take that risk anymore.
It feels very scary. Sometimes I don't want to come to school because I think I might not come home the next day.
So were you suggesting and perhaps somebody should have been armed and killed somebody?
Ready! Fire! The building lockdown drill is now over.
Bulletproof, Monday, February 14th at 10/9 Central on Independent Lens.
This is crazy.
On Finding Your Roots, John Leguizamo.
A ninth grandfather? What, are you going to go to the beginning of time?
And Lena Waithe.
It feels like one big, huge blessing to be connected to all of these people.
Monumental family history.
My chest is pumped up a little bit. I do feel a little boastful.
And an unexpected ancestor.
You descend from a Native American woman.
What?
Welcome back to Newswatch. I'm forecaster Henry Groff with a look at your weekend weather. And we're going to continue to see rain move through the area overnight tonight as we have a cold front off to the west. And before that cold front, we have seen some windy conditions. At the Athens airport, we did see a wind gust of up to around 41 miles per hour. But once this cold front moves through tonight, winds will start to quiet down a little bit. So looking at our hourly forecast for tonight, we're going to be seeing freezing conditions through 10 p.m. and then once the cold front moves through, our rain chances will start to decrease. So we will be seeing clear skies tomorrow. For tonight, we're going to be heading down to around 31 degrees. Winds will be out from the west at around 5 to 10 miles per hour. And across the regions, temperature will also decrease more towards our west, with Columbus at around 28 degrees and Newark at around 29. Towards the south, we're going to see a little bit warmer temperatures, with Jackson at around 38 degrees. And tomorrow, the cold front moves off, and we will see high pressure build in. That will give us mostly cloudy to partly cloudy skies through the weekend. So it's going to be looking really nice for our Saturday and Sunday. But for the morning tomorrow, we're going to be seeing cloudy skies and then some decreasing clouds, but we'll still see partly cloudy and mostly cloudy skies. And by the afternoon, we're going to be heading up to around 35 with a high of around 38. So it's going to be feeling a little chilly compared to what we saw today. We're going to be seeing a wind out from the northwest at around 5 to 10 miles per hour. And the rest of the region will continue to see chilly temperatures, with Columbus at around 31 degrees and towards the south at around 42. But looking for Sunday, if you're heading out for Super Bowl, we're going to be seeing temperatures a little more chilly, with Athens at around 31 degrees and Columbus in the mid-20s, and towards the south we'll also see temperatures in the mid-30s. But it's going to be looking really nice for Sunday. And if you're curious about what Los Angeles is going to see for Sunday, it's going to be really hot with a high of around 85 degrees, and there is a heat advisory through Sunday evening. They're going to be seeing a wind out from the northeast at around 5 to 10 miles per hour. But heading back to Athens, we're going to be seeing a dry forecast for tomorrow, with temperatures at around 38 degrees. And my 7-day forecast isn't coming up for some reason. But for now, I'm going to be handing it back to Fallon.
Thanks, Henry. As the Super Bowl approaches, Ohio has more ties to the game than the Cincinnati Bengals. A factory in Ada, Ohio has been making footballs the same way since before the big game even started. Wilson has been making footballs since 1955. Many of more than 130 workers have been here for decades. The Bengals and Rams will each receive 108 Wilson pigskins for the upcoming game. Mike Springer is an employee for Wilson. He comments on the tradition of making these footballs.
I'm sure there's robots out there that could sew footballs and turn footballs and lace footballs, but it's never been done that way. And if we change that, we lose a lot of that craftsmanship, that American grit craftsmanship done by hand in the heartland of the United States of America.
And even though this year's Super Bowl hasn't been played, the team at Wilson is already hard at work with the NFL on what next year's game balls will look like. The cost of a Super Bowl party this year is expected to be very steep. Wells Fargo found that depending on what you serve, the price tag could be 14% higher than last year. New Labor Department figures also show the cost of everyday goods rose 7.5% compared to a year ago. Isabel Rosales covers how to save some money as Americans tune in this weekend to the Super Bowl.
Your Super Bowl party this 2022 may be the most expensive one you've ever hosted.
I expect to see the biggest Super Bowl spending ever because we have the largest economy ever.
Wells Fargo added it all up. Chief agricultural economist Michael Swanson says that price tag could be 14% higher than last year. The most expensive item is meat.
Proteins are what's really packing the punch for inflation.
According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, prices for both fresh and frozen chicken wings are up nearly 12%. Ground beef is 13% higher, and steaks soared 17% over last year. Soda is up more than 9% more for a 12-pack of 12-ounce cans compared to 2021. And beer is up nearly 6%, according to BLS data. And guacamole will cost you too. Bloomberg found exporting Hass avocados from Mexico costs nearly 25% more than last year. So what's behind the rising costs? Experts blame high demand, labor shortages, and the ongoing supply chain issues. Grocery owners say they're often forced to pass along the pain to consumers when the companies they buy products from increase prices.
Like our ranchers out in Kansas, they would love to run the packing plant 6 days a week right now, but they are like on 5 days a week. They don't have enough workers.
To trim costs, experts recommend your game day spread is loaded with potentially lower price options like veggies and fruits. Also, buy items in bulk and go with cheaper generic or store name brands. I'm Isabel Rosales reporting.
Coming up in sports, it's a basketball bonanza. The Ohio men's team is hoping to close out its current road trip with a victory, while the women's team looks to end a grueling stretch of its season. And right after the break, we have a live report from Federal Hawking as the Lancers have a big conference battle tonight. And be sure to stay tuned to WOUB. Here's a look at what's coming up tonight on your public television station.
We are just halfway through season 12 and the stage is set for the OHSAA tournament. We will have all the updates on the TVC standings and break down the final week of the regular season. Plus, we hear from the voices of the Buckeyes in our journey beyond the court. Stay up to date on all the heroics as we near tournament time by tuning in to WOUB Sunday nights at 11 and Monday nights at 6. From all of us at Hardwood Heroes, we're reminding you to be heroic.
On Greta Thunberg, a year to change the world as the global pandemic emerges.
I have contracted the coronavirus.
Greta sees technology as only a partial solution to climate change.
We have lots of solutions. The problem is time.
And she shows how personal choices can make a big difference.
We cannot fight climate change without individual change, the way we behave, the way we consume.
Greta Thunberg, a year to change the world.
In the event of a lockdown, there are simple steps to take that will keep us all safe.
Some people will say, oh, it's just some kid playing. The problem is we can't take that risk anymore.
It feels very scary. Sometimes I don't want to come to school because I think I might not come home the next day.
So were you suggesting and perhaps somebody should have been armed and killed somebody?
Ready! Fire! The building lockdown drill is now over.
Bulletproof, Monday, February 14th at 10/9 Central on Independent Lens.
He became known as the Bishop of the Slums.
It is my duty to help in any way possible.
He changed lives in a way no one could imagine.
Now is the time for courageous action and strategies.
He's unquestionably a game changer.
I'm convinced that we can make a difference.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Darius Sethna. It's been another action-packed week of Hardwood Heroes basketball. Our marquee matchup today is on the boys' side as the Trimble Tomcats visit the Federal Hawking Lancers. For reporter Maria Manessi joins us live from Federal Hawking High School for more details ahead of this big game.
Thanks, Darius. Both teams have conference records at 10-0. Trimble sits in first place because of its 17-0 overall record. Fed Hawk follows with a record of 16-3. Tonight's matchup determines who takes the top of the Hawking and controls their destiny towards a conference crown. This is the first meeting of the season because the January 14th matchup was postponed, which makes tonight an even bigger game. A player to watch for Fed Hawk is Lane Smith, who has been a key part of its success. For Trimble, Blake Guffey has been leading the Tomcats all year. Trimble may be undefeated overall, but Fed Hawk looks to play spoiler. It will be interesting to see how this one turns out, as it is expected to be a tight contest until the buzzer. Tune in to Hardwood Heroes Sunday at 11 p.m. and Monday at 6 p.m. to hear the latest around the TBC Hawking and recap around this game. I'm Maria Manessi reporting live from Federal Hawking High School for Newswatch. Back to you, Darius.
Thanks, Maria. And there's more exciting TVC action in our area tonight. Here's our list of games for the weekend. We have another Friday night clash in boys basketball between Athens and Alexander. For the girls' games this weekend, Eastern takes on Lynchburg Clay, Eastern Brown plays host to Federal Hawking, Northwest goes up against Nelsonville York, and South Point faces off against Alexander. All of these games are scheduled to be played on Saturday. You can catch the full Hardwood Heroes show by tuning into WOUB at 11 p.m. on Sundays and 6 p.m. on Mondays. The Ohio men's basketball team is gearing up for another contest against a MAC opponent tomorrow. They are in Ypsilanti for a battle against the Eastern Michigan Eagles. This is the final game of the Bobcats' 3-game road trip. They split their last 2 contests, falling to the Toledo Rockets Tuesday, but bouncing back against Central Michigan yesterday with an 81-72 win. Redshirt senior forward Ben Vanderplas scored 24 points, while star guard Mark Sears dropped 22 to go along with 2 steals in Ohio's 20th win of the season. Tip-off from Ypsilanti is set for 3:30 p.m. tomorrow. The women's basketball team is arguably in their roughest stretch of its season. The Bobcats have lost 3 straight games, all by a margin of 10 points. And on top of that, their game scheduled for Wednesday against Ball State was postponed. On the bright side of things, the Bobcats have the chance to end their losing streak in front of their home fans. CC Hooks and company host the Western Michigan Broncos, a team they lost to just 2 weeks ago. Tip-off at the Convo is set for tomorrow at 1 p.m. I'm Darius Sethna, and that's it for sports. Back over to you, Fallon.
And taking a final look at the weather for tomorrow, we're going to be seeing mostly cloudy skies with a wind out from the northwest at around 5 to 10 miles per hour. It's going to be a little cooler than what we saw today with highs in the upper 30s. And we're going to be seeing a dry week ahead for next week. Now back over to the desk.
Thank you, Henry. I'm Olivia Roman. Thanks for watching.
And for Henry Groff and Maria Manessi and Darius Sithna, I'm Fallon Howard. Stay tuned for the PBS NewsHour coming up next. And remember, you can find the latest news anytime at WOUB.org. Have a great night.
Donating your old car, motorcycle, or truck helps support public television, and it may get you a pretty nice tax deduction, too. Plus, we make donating your car easy. Just call our toll-free number or visit us online.
Support comes from Goldsberry Wealth Strategies in Athens and Park.